Nowadays, it is hard to go online without hearing about Minecraft in one way or another. The game is almost 12 years old, and yet it has achieved a level of popularity and long-form success that almost every other game dreams of. It's experienced many resurgences, each time the game comes back stronger, and through every update, there's a devoted community that keeps on playing. In the time since its release, whole game franchises have ran their cycles. 2 whole console generations have gone by, and yet this rather simple game remains a chart topper. I'd like to analyze why this happens, the consistent updates the game receives, and answer the question of, when does ever-expanding become over-expanding? Was it back in 2013 in its prime? Or is it now where the game is almost nothing like its former self? Minecraft has an incredibly long history, so it's time for a lightning round. I'll try to do this in under 2 minutes. Minecraft was developed and created by Notch, aka Marcus Pearson, under the development title Cave Game. It had survival foundations with the need to gather resources in order to build a structure to survive in the night. By nighttime, you were fighting off hostile creatures in order to make it another day. Flash forward to release 1.0 on November 18th, 2011. The game has come a long way, having added the core foundations that now resemble something much like the modern version of Minecraft. This was the last version that Notch developed himself, giving the creative direction to his colleague Jens Bergsten. Some of the major features were the additions of the end and nether dimensions, the core progression, many new mobs and enemies, enchantments, and some general improvements over the previously added features such as the armor system. The game was released on mobile phones, Xbox platforms, PlayStation platforms, and PC, with a Wii U version releasing on December 7th, 2015. Release 1.1 added some new biomes such as beaches, desert hills, taiga hills, forest hills, and extreme hills, added the super flat world generation mode, new language support, bows, golden apples, improved mob AI, as well as several other new block tweaks. Version 1.2 added new blocks such as chiseled stone bricks, redstone lamps, jungle wood and the corresponding blocks, some new items like enchantment bottles and fire charges, new mobs like iron golems and ocelots, and some changes to world generation, with new file formats coming along the way. In 1.3, wood slabs, ender chests, books and quills, new crafting recipes, and more were added. Version 1.4 was significantly less important than the others, primarily adding new sound effects to several mobs and some minor tweaks here and there. The Redstone update, aka 1.5, expanded upon the old Redstone system, with some of the most important improvements being redstone blocks, droppers, hoppers, comparators, sensors, and the odd addition of quartz. Version 1.6 added hay bales, horses, and their associated items, with new status effects. Version 1.7 was the quality of life improvement update, and it wasn't very important. Version 1.8, however, releasing on September 2nd, 2014, is one of my personal favorite updates and one of the most important, adding new exploration features as well as ocean monuments and new mobs. However, things would quickly change, with the next update dividing the player base, and it will be discussed later on. But for now, I feel like it can be summed up as, is 1.8 holding the community back? Or was one seemingly minor change the detriment to the community as a whole? So yeah, not quite 2 minutes, but it's dense, okay? Cut me some slack. As we'll discuss later, some updates have divided the player base, but Bedrock Editions are the literal roadblock that divides them. You see, Bedrock Editions refer to the console version of Minecraft, with version parity between PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, VR, mobile, and Windows 10. The main link these all share is the need for a Microsoft account, and a $4 increase in price for some reason. The need for a Microsoft account allows these all to be linked, meaning that, although PlayStation users have some restricted access, everyone can join each other's worlds and realms without the need for a new plastic game box. Java players exist in a separate ecosystem with parity between the Java versions on Windows, macOS, and Linux. The switch happened with the Better Together update, releasing on September 20th, 2017, allowing the consoles to interact under Microsoft. The only downsides include the need for you to have the console's online subscription in order to play. Think PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live Gold. This of course does not happen on platforms without online subscriptions such as Windows, VR, and mobile. You can easily join a friend's world while they're online with up to 5 other people totally for free. In contrast, you need a paid or self-hosted server on Java, needlessly complicating things. The history of multiplayer Minecraft is a long one. The oldest Minecraft server dates back to August 4th, 2010. Obviously, I can't go too in depth because we're looking at almost 11 years of history right here. From 2010 until 2013, the majority of servers were not hosted by Mojang, and instead they were hosted by individuals who just wanted to play with their friends. This all changed in 2013 when Mojang released Realms, a paid subscription multiplayer service that had the same benefits of servers, but with the bonus protections and benefits of them being hosted by Mojang themselves. They don't use dedicated IP addresses, instead the owner had to invite people to join their realms, like a whitelist system on normal ones. The three main players in the Minecraft server game were Mineplex, the Hive, and of course Hypixel. I say were because the Hive shut down on April 15th, 2021, and some strange decisions at Mineplex led it to becoming a laughingstock and a shell of its former self. Meanwhile, Hypixel is still bringing in huge numbers with an active player base of around 70,000 concurrent players. All these servers were Java hosted and designed for Java players, and there's one key thing of note: they all still support 1.8, most likely due to the community's overwhelming support of the old combat system. The fact that Hypixel remains incredibly inclusive of previous Minecraft versions leads me to wonder, will they ever ditch the who can click the fastest era of PvP and instead opt for features that can make combat immensely more interesting? Like tridents, new enchantments, shields, crossbows, and a whole new element in netherite? Now this issue only persists on the Java edition of the game, as the Bedrock edition still use the faster clicking methods as to not give a disadvantage to those on controllers and those on mobile. This debate is still quite a contentious topic between the PvP community. Would you rather have more quote-unquote skill-based or free combat, or combat that relies more on strategy and rhythm? This issue stems from the end update, which can technically also be called the combat update, but for the sake of confusion, I'll just call it 1.9. While I firmly believe that the game enhancements added in 1.9 are stupendous, I do not like the combat changes made. The faster pace of previous versions allows for it to be more action-packed and fun in multiplayer, whereas the slower, more precise hits of later versions of PvP, where enemies have certain attack periods, makes things feel just slow and clunky. The later expansions of version 1.10 include new frozen biomes and the associating mobs like polar bears. The burn portion of the Frostburn update made changes to the nether, like the addition of netherwort blocks and magma blocks. However, there was nothing really all that special. Version 1.11 added new structures and the illager enemies. With them came totems of undying, new specific exploration maps, shulker boxes, woodland mansions, and llamas. The World of Color update, also known as 1.12, added more building blocks in the form of color beds and concrete. A simplified crafting menu was also introduced in the form of the recipe book. It made things much easier for beginners as all of the recipes were right at your fingertips. You remember those tridents I kinda name dropped earlier? Those came from 1.13, aka the update Aquatic, which added new zombie variations called Drowned, which can carry the tridents. Coral reefs were also added along with shipwrecks, dolphins, and turtles. Other non-ocean related changes were made, such as the addition of phantoms. In 1.14, the Village and Pillage update made new changes to the illager system, an overhaul of villages, and texture redesigns. In 1.15, bees were added, along with some other things I guess. There really wasn't that much. However, 1.16 was the biggest update as of late, making a full overhaul of the nether, adding new biomes, an overhaul of zombie pigmen, turning them into piglins, adding bastions, which were basically piglin shrines, a new music disc, new blocks, and a whole new ore in the form of netherite, with subsequent fire-resistant armor and tools, and knockback resistance. It was crafted with the use of the smithing table. Personally, I'd love to see these new features implemented into the 1.8 combat system, but at the same time this needs the support of Mojang, or at least the mass adoption of 1.8 combat server plugins. At the same time, people love Minecraft for its simplicity. The ability for any person to just pick it up and instantly understand almost everything about it brings forth the question, there becomes a point in almost every long-standing product's lifecycle where their creators run out of ideas and things begin to go stale. Don't get me wrong, the new content is appreciated, maybe even praised, but at the same time, it devalues all the wonderful content that came before it simply due to the fact that the illusion of ever-expanding end-all be-all live service is crumbling with a lack of ambition. Eventually, the charm that the game had wears off, and the game no longer resembles what it used to be. Personally, I feel like the game hasn't, but Mojang has jumped the shark. To be honest, at this point, the only thing keeping Minecraft alive is the community. If it weren't for the core foundations of a sandbox game, Minecraft would have been dead by 2015. Allow me to explain. The biggest Minecraft servers are all community hosted. Every single mod is community made, and the modders are always faster than Mojang when it comes to making features that should have been updated previously. The cave update to me didn't feel like it was made out of passion for expansion, but a need to. I mean, players have been begging for a cave update for as long as I can remember. The wrong decision by the developers can completely kill a game. With Minecraft, I feel like it's too little too late, and that the updates that were released were unnecessary at best. To elaborate, I believe that after the end update in 1.9, they should have slowly shifted the world generation and updating the core biomes already in the game, along with the update of the ocean, which would have been 1.10. Next, shift the Nether update to 1.11, adding some of the same features as the burn portion of the Frostburn update, move the much desired cave update to 1.12, adding any and all fringe features mixing with the other updates. Pause. While I was recording this, the news broke that 1.17 would be split into two updates. The first with the new mobs in the blocks, second with the larger caves because they drastically changed the world generation. Personally, I'm all for this. I appreciate their reasoning for not only their developers' health, but I like how they're actively working on making Minecraft a bigger and better game. I definitely look forward to this update more than something like the World of Color update. Do I believe that Mojang are good developers? Absolutely. But as I will talk about later, I feel they have their priorities a little bit in the wrong place. On the other hand, there are those who believe that Minecraft should be a simple experience, and I believe that too, which is why I think that the hypothetical version of 1.12 should include the dimensional updates. At the same time, it should keep the and cliffs suffix, redoing mountain and taiga biomes. Larger sized updates like the Nether update would have redone smaller biomes like Badlands, Icebergs, and Mushroom Islands, whereas smaller overworld related updates could redo others like forests, jungles, hills, plains, and deserts. This allows a basic survival game to exist while keeping some of the better features from modern Minecraft, allowing survival and challenge-based players to exist in their own bubble, while also keeping some of the features that the creatives love. Minecraft's general progression system is known by almost everyone. Start in a randomly generated world, mine the nearest tree in an effort to make some tools and a crafting table, grab stone and make a furnace and a pickaxe. Next, hunt for some animals to gather your food. Once you have enough to sustain yourself for days, descend into the depths to fight off monsters, gather iron, and if you're lucky, find diamonds. Once suited up, grab 12 obsidian and build a portal to the down below. Once in the nether, you're gonna hop over huge lava-filled caverns and lakes, through deadly forests, wastelands, and valleys of the dead, saunter through mountains until you find the fortress. Once there, get around 10 blaze rods and hold on to them for dear life, because you don't want to make the trek all the way out there again. Upon gathering your rods, begin the dangerous trek back, killing endermen or bartering with piglins in efforts to bring home ender pearls. Upon arrival at your house, fuse the mythical items together to forge an ethereal compass, the Eye of Ender. These will guide you to the stronghold where you insert them into a portal to fight the Ender Dragon and free its slaves. The whole game can be beaten in around 2 hours, but the beauty of it is that regardless of if you pay attention to the path that most players take, you can still get the full experience without even going to the nether once. You can play exactly how you want to play, and where I like to give myself a challenge trying to beat the game as fast as I can, there's no doubt that some like to take things slow or get fully maxed out gear before stepping foot in the nether. It's all up to you, and regardless of how you take it, I can guarantee that you'll get something from it. On top of that, there are full structures that some may not even encounter at all in their entire time with the game. While this might be a negative to some, I'd say Minecraft's biggest selling point is that it can be played an infinite amount of times in an infinite amount of playstyles, meaning that you have full control of your experience. Minecraft holds up phenomenally, and no matter how much I can nitpick, at its core, it's absolutely fantastic, and one of my favorite games, period. Is it perfect? No. Do I have problems with it? Absolutely. But is it a good game? Yeah. I mean, I would be shocked if anyone ever made a perfect game. While it's better with friends, there is still a lot of fun to be had by yourself. You can make your own challenges, builds, do speedruns, or make your own mods, minigames, or redstone contraptions. And if you do have friends to play with, you can join multiplayer servers and mess around, and the fun levels increase exponentially. You can join each other's worlds, make miniature competitions, or sweat in PvP. Not only is it fun, it's good for all ages. It's pretty simple in earlier versions, as well as it's pretty easy to access. I mean, it's like $7 on the App Store. Features like the recipe book have made it way easier to just jump in, and I mean, it's the best-selling game of all time for a reason. There's nothing quite like it. Unless you're a fan of strictly realistic graphics or some sense of intense competition, then It's probably for you in one way or another. At its core, it's a kid's game, but it's designed to be playable by anyone, of any age, any demographic. It's also kind of ageless. I mean, it's died and been resurrected several times, so do I think it'll die? No. Personally, I've been playing Minecraft for around 7 years, and I still actively play on servers like Hypixel. The nature of the game allows it to be played until the end of time. You can spend time in one world for an hour or 1,000. Have I probably spent too much time playing? Yes. Will I ever get that time back? No. Was it worth it? Maybe. But I'm convinced that I won't get bored of it. It'll drag me in with the next new update, and no matter what, I'll come back to it. It's one of the best video games ever, and it's truly a prime example of the indie game success story. So whether you pick it up for the first time or you're thinking of coming back to it, you're in for a treat. Hey, thanks for making it to the end. If you liked what you saw, leave a like or subscribe. You can also check out another one of my videos on the screen right now. Of course, I didn't get a chance to talk about everything in this game's history, like the controversial past of its creator, or the Microsoft acquisition, as the video would simply be far too long. Maybe I'll talk about it in the future, who knows, so stay tuned.